Good morning. Or afternoon. What is good afternoon? Tea time, is that what we're saying here? Hello everybody, my name is Julius Ria. I'm the Director of Programming here at Stagebridge. I'm very, very happy that all of you are here to witness Jane Austen's Persuasion, adapted by Jennifer LeBlanc and directed by Radhika Rao. I'm here just to welcome you and thank you so much. This is actually the culmination of over a year's worth of work for our students, and this is one of our first real showcases back from the pandemic. So I really want to say thank you so much. This is a very, very, very important day for Stagebridge. The show that you're going to see is about approximately 75 minutes. So that is a fantastic time to spend like an hour and 15 minutes not on your phone. So if you want to take out your phones right now and take a beautiful picture of this chapel and immediately turn it off and turn it on silent, I would appreciate it, because I'm pretty sure that they did not have phones in what year, Jennifer?
1812.
There it is. So thank you so much. So like I said, it runs about 75 minutes approximately. I will be at the door if you need any questions. If there is ever an emergency, please exit from the only door that you can. Also, if you need any help with bathroom or navigating anything, I'll be there by the door to help. Okay? So if you'd like to stay afterwards and congratulate our very, very talented and hardworking actors, please do. And also we will be and also I will be available for any questions about Stagebridge or further programming. All right, so with that, I want to say thank you one last time, and also welcome cordially to Jane Austen's Persuasion.
Yes. Before the welcome to Jane Austen's Persuasion, my name is Radhika Rao and I directed the show. I just wanted to say a few thank yous. First, we're at the First Congregational Church of Oakland, so I want to say thank you to the staff, in particular to Ronnie Casey, and then to the wonderful Stagebridge staff. Alyssa, Amethyst right there, thank you for recording. Julius Rea for being incredible and just hosting us and doing all the behind the scenes work. Yes, thank you. And to all the other actors, so quick disclaimer and an adjustment to what Julia said. We've not been working on this show in this way for 1 year. We started reading this play on Zoom with one set of actors, and we did a reading on Zoom during the pandemic, which is crazy. Then we launched into dramaturgical work with Jennifer LeBlanc, our incredible writer. I mean, in your profession, I do everything, acting, directing, but we had a dramaturgical session, and a new set of artists were part of that. And then we finally had this final iteration, all of whom had done a previous workshop. And so, but we started off, it was always all women in the cast. So the way we started off was everybody got to play Anne. And we did the whole show. We did the whole show where every scene there was a different person who took on the protagonist role of Anne Elliot. And we had a whole reasoning behind it. But then when we had to pare it down to 75 minutes, we actually, the cast you're looking at had about 20 hours to rehearse this. And we are on book for the show, and you'll see that the actors are reading from their script. Having said that, these actors have designed their own costumes, their props, they envisioned and built their own characters. I've merely shaped it. And we've had about 6 hours in this space to block. So what you're seeing is a group of 9 extremely seasoned, but also very intuitive artists. So wanted you to definitely know that. Yes. So I wanted to end with these words, and they're actually from my mentor, Dr. Daisaku Ikeda. He says the wisdom for creating happiness and peace, and I think this is connected to this play. He says, "We are each the scriptwriter of our own triumphant drama. We are also its protagonist. So lest we think that we are merely players on the stage of life, sorry Shakespeare, let's remember Jane Austen says we're players, powerful and resplendent. We have agency even if it's in our smaller spheres. Let's use it with good cheer as our beautiful actors do in this incredible story. So thank you so much, and thank you, Jennifer, for adapting this beautiful story. Please enjoy. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. The play takes place in a Regency-era country home. We're in Somerset, England first, then Bath, and then Lyme. In 1814, Act 1, Scene 1. Enter a Regency working weekend party.
Persuasion, a novel by Jane Austen. Sir Walter Elliot of Kellynch Hall was a man who, for his own amusement, never took up any book but the Baronetage. There he found occupation for an idle hour and consolation in a distressed one.
He could read his own history with an interest which never failed. This was the page at which his favorite volume always opened. Sir Walter Elliot of Kellynch Hall. Walter Elliot, born March 1st, 1760, married July 15th, 1784, Elizabeth, daughter of James Stevenson, Esquire, by which lady, who died 1800, he has issue.
Elizabeth, born June 1st, 1785.
Anne, born August 9th, 1787.
Mary, born November 20th, 1791, married December 10th, 1810 to Charles
Musgrove, Esquire of Uppercross, in the county of Somerset. William Walter Elliot, Esquire, nephew to Sir Walter Elliot, heir presumptive.
Vanity was the beginning and end of Sir Walter's character. He considered the blessing of beauty inferior only to the blessing of the baronetcy. Elizabeth was very handsome. Her influence over her father had always been great. Mary acquired a little artificial importance by becoming Mrs. Charles Musgrove. But Anne, with her elegance of mind and sweetness of character, was nobody with her father or sister. She had no weight with her word. Her convenience was always to give way. She was only Anne.
Every comfort of life knocked off. Journeys, London, servants, table, constructions and restrictions everywhere. I would sooner quit Kellynch Hall at once than remain in it on such disgraceful terms.
Mr. Shepard, as Sir Walter's lawyer, what is your opinion?
Since the idea of quitting Kellynch Hall has been mentioned by you, Sir Walter, I must confess my judgment to be on that side. It does not appear to me that you could materially alter your style of living in this house in such a way as to ensure the preservation of your family's dignity.
Sir Walter, you must retrench.
Retrench? Leave, quit Kellynch Hall? Leave our family, home, the families who adore us.
Where's our image? You shall hear from my solicitor!
Where would we go that could possibly maintain our place of rank? You must remember that a baronet has considerations beyond that of private men.
We might consider London.
I dare say you'll find Bath or one of the countryside homes pleasing.
I dare say we won't. Consider the cost of London, Sir Walter. The purpose of this removal is, after all, economy.
Father, from a small house in the neighborhood, we could be near the grounds of Cambridge. We should not lose the society of Lady Russell. And surely you would want to stay near enough to visit Mary, Father?
What about Bath? It's fashionable this year, and the water is excellent for health and for the complexion. And we would surely move among the first rank.
Excellent idea, Sir Walter, just the thing. Well, all that's left to determine is how and when to advertise that the house is to let.
I shall endeavor to allow the consideration of a fine gentleman, provided he is cognizant of the honor being afforded him and consequently grateful.
Well, I may take leave to observe, Sir Walter, that the present juncture is much in our favor. The peace will be turning all our rich naval officers ashore. They will all be wanting a home. Indeed, I've already heard of a rich admiral.
He would be a lucky man, Shepard. That's all I have to remark. A prize indeed would Kellynch Hall be to him. He is not like to have seen such a house in all his travels whatsoever. Has been, Shepard? I do not know that I approve of a Navy man having free range of the grounds and house, however.
The Navy, I think, who has done so much for all of us, deserves an equal claim with any other set of men for all the comforts and all the privileges that any home can provide.
Very true, very true. And I have always found them to be liberal and honest men of business.
The profession has its place, but it is in 2 points offensive to me. First, it brings persons of obscure birth into undue distinction. And secondly, it cuts up a man's youth and vigor most horribly. One day last spring, I was in the company of a man, Admiral Baldwin, had to give the man place and a very obscure parentage he was too. His face, the color of mahogany, all lines and wrinkles, 9 gray hairs on a side.
You were saying, Mr. Shepard, that there was a rich admiral who might be looking for accommodations?
Quite right, an Admiral Croft, a Rear Admiral of the White. He was in a Trafalgar action and has been in the East Indies ever since.
Then I take it for granted that his face is about as orange as the cuffs and capes of my livery.
To be sure, sir, he is more weather-beaten than yourself, but he's hardy and very handsome. There is a Mrs. Croft and no children. And a lady without family is the best protector of furniture in the world. Mrs. Croft is a sister to a gentleman who lived among us at Mountford a while back. What was his name?
No conception of who you might mean. A gentleman at Mountford?
Bless me, I shall forget my own name soon, I suppose.
You mean Mr. Wentworth, I suppose?
Wentworth was the very name. You remember him, I dare say.
Wentworth? Oh, you misled me by the term gentleman. I thought you were speaking of some man of property. Mr. Wentworth was nobody, I remember. Quite unconnected.
One wonders how the names of so many of our nobility have become so common.
At any rate, you have heard that the Admiral, Mrs. Croft, are in need of a home here?
Indeed. And if you are willing, Sir Walter, I shall make all the necessary arrangements.
I could be moved to generosity for his sake. I have let my house to Admiral Croft. Sounds well enough on An admiral bespeaks his own consequence and needs no explanation like a Mr. or a Mrs. You may extend the invitation, Mr. Shepard, and sort out the details.
Thank you, Sir Walter. I shall take my leave then, and I shall call upon the Admiral and Mrs. Croft.
We should leave in the morning to find the finest lodgings.
But who will remain here to pack up the house and instruct the servants and make arrangements for the new tenant?
Oh, Anne can do that. At any rate, I've had a letter from Mary saying she is ill again. And I told her that Anne would be there shortly. Nobody would want her at Bath anyway.
Oh, Anne, I can only imagine what pain it must be to hear his name after so long.
More than 8 years. Yes, I could well wish it was a different family taking up residence in Kellynch.
Well, you made the wisest decision. Captain Wentworth was no match for you, Anne.
Scene 2, Mary enters.
The trip to Uppercross was short and infinitely preferable to the September heat and white glare of Bath that time of year. And it was far nicer for Anne to be needed in Uppercross, albeit temperamentally, than to be utterly disregarded in Bath. Oh, you've come at last. Oh, Anne, I thought that you should never come. Oh, I've been so ill, I could hardly speak. I haven't seen a creature this whole morning.
I am so sorry to find you unwell. You sent me such good account of yourself on Thursday.
Well, yes, I made the best of it, but I really have been very ill. I don't think I've ever been so ill as I've been this morning. Very unfit to be left alone, I am sure.
Where is Charles?
Oh, out shooting. I haven't seen him since 7 o'clock. He would go, though he knows how ill I am.
Well, you will soon be better now. You know I always cure you when I come. How are your neighbors at the Great House?
I can give you no account of them. I've not seen one of them today.
You will see them yet, perhaps. Before the morning is gone, it is early.
Well, I shall not wish to see the young Miss Musgroves, I can assure you. They talk and laugh a great deal too much for me. Oh, Anne. I really have been so very ill. It was very unkind of you not to come to see me on Thursday.
Mary, only imagine how much I have had to do. I could not very conveniently have left Kellynch sooner.
Dear me, what could you have possibly have had to do?
A great many things, I assure you. Preparations had to be made for the new tenants, instructions for the servants.
Oh, I quite forgot that Kellynch was to be let. Anne, how could you mention this to me in my condition? After I've had my lunch, let's go for a walk.
Do you feel quite able, Mary?
Oh yes, best thing, I'm sure. Now where should we go? I'm sure you do not want to go to the Great House, as they have not been there to come here to see you.
I have not the smallest objection on that account. I should never think of standing on ceremony with the Musgroves.
But they should know what is due to you as my sister.
Charles Musgrove lumbered in with his sisters in tow. Charles was civil and agreeable. He did nothing with much zeal but sport. Dearest Miss Anne, I'm so glad that you arrived. I'm sorry I was not here to greet you.
Henrietta and Louisa were young ladies of 20 and 19.
Hello, Anne. Welcome.
Did you have a good journey? How have you been?
They brought with them the usual stock of accomplishments, and we're both very pretty and very merry and very fashionable, especially the prospect of seeing. Oh, Anne, it's always such a pleasure to have you here. We came down as soon as we heard you come.
I see. You've come to see Anne. Never mind about my illness. As you can see, she is quite well.
Oh, how are you, Mary? We brought you cake, Mary.
Mary, I hope you don't mind my mentioning that I saw little Charles and William climbing a tree that is frighteningly high for such young children.
I am quite capable of minding my own children, I assure you, Mrs. Musgrove.
One of the least agreeable circumstances of Anne's residence in Uppercross was being treated with too much confidence by all parties.
Oh, Anne, I could manage the boys very well if it weren't for Mary's influence.
And Charles spoils the children so I cannot get them into any order.
I wish you could persuade Mary not to be always fancying herself ill.
And I do believe if Charles were to see me dying, he would think there was nothing the matter with me. Oh, Anne, couldn't you please persuade him that I really am very ill? Much more so than I ever owned.
Ah! William, you come down from there this minute.
They are fine, capable boys, but I hate sending them to the great house, even though their grandmama would want them there. For she's always giving them sweets and trash to eat, and they come home sick and cross for the rest of the day.
Oh, Miss Anne, I cannot help wishing Mary had a little of your method with the children. But they are so spoiled. Bless me. How troublesome they are sometimes, I assure you. It prevents me from wishing them to see them at our house as often as I otherwise should. I believe Mary is not quite pleased with my not inviting them oftener. But you know, it is very bad that one can only have children that one can only keep in tolerable order by giving them more cake than is good for them.
Please, Mary, take my place. I think I shall take a turn about the room with the Miss Musgroves.
I have no scruple in observing to you how nonsensical some persons are about their place. But I wish anyone would give Mary a hint that it would be a great deal better if she would not always be putting herself forward to take the place of Mamma.
And nobody doubts her right to have precedence, but it would be becoming in her not to be always insisting on it.
It is not that Mamma cares about it in the least, but I know it is taken notice of by many persons.
Oh, Anne, have you met the Admiral? Anne, I'm sorry, I got confused. Oh, Anne, have you met the Admiral and Mrs. Croft?
Only briefly when they took up residence at Kellynch.
But did you find them amiable?
Oh, their manners are open and engaging, and full of lively good humor.
I'm glad to hear of it, for it comes to pass that they will be dining with us this evening at the great house.
And bringing along Mrs. Craft's brother, Captain Wentworth. Only think of it. Her brother was the very captain of the Laconia when poor Richard wrote us the only 2 letters he ever penned in his life.
Poor Mamma.
Oh, badly spelled though they were. I think we owe Captain Wentworth a great deal of gratitude for his influence over my poor Richard.
They're dining with us tonight. Admiral and Mrs. Croft and Captain Wentworth.
Yes, dear.
Oh, good. I must go find something suitable to wear.
Only think, Louisa, a Navy man in the house.
I should return home. I shall want to lay out my
Oh,
dress.
may I borrow your pink satin ribbon for my hair tonight?
But we I should want to wear it.
Well, see you this evening. Bye.
undressed and tried to bear the thought of seeing him again. She looked at herself, observing her altered features, trying to trace in them the ruins of the face that had once charmed him.
He would not have forgiven her. She had used him ill, deserted and disappointed him, and worse, she had shown a feebleness of character in doing so.
Oh, there you are, Anne. Are you quite ready? I don't know which to be waked. I know you are no Mr. and Mrs. Croft, but are you at all acquainted with Captain Wentworth?
Yes, Mary, we have met many years ago. We were introduced while you were away at school. Mary, that is why you've never heard.
Scene 4, Uppercross Cottage the following morning. Birds chirping in morning light, chalk line. Anne, Mary, and Charles are sitting to breakfast.
The following morning, Anne thought to herself as she sat to breakfast.
What was it to her if Frederick Wentworth were only half a mile distant, making himself agreeable to others?
It was quite delightful. The Crofts are as kind as you said, Anne, and Captain Wentworth was as charming and as affable as he could be. He was so sympathetic about little Charles.
He's coming to shoot with us this morning. Only wish he could have joined us for breakfast.
He seemed reluctant. Oh, I'm sure he didn't want to inconvenience us, what with a sick child. At any rate, the Miss Musgroves were quite taken with him.
Oh, he would be a capital match for either one of my sisters.
Upon my word, he would. Oh, if he should ever be a baronet. Lady Wentworth sounds well. That would be a noble thing indeed for Henrietta.
You forget, Mary. Henrietta is as good as promised to my cousin John.
And who, pray, is John Hager? Nothing more than a country curate. I cannot think he would be at all a fit match for Henrietta.
Nonsense. Henrietta may do worse than John. And if she has them, and Louisa can get Captain Wentworth, I shall be a very well satisfied brother. Come in. Oh, speak of the devil. Good morning, Captain Wentworth.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ready for some capital hunting? Henrietta and Louisa, what brings you down to the cottage so early?
We are resolved on a walk to the end of the village and thought we might persuade Anne to join us. And we came to see how little Charles is after last night.
Oh, he's ever so much better this morning. I would very much like to join you on your long walk.
I think it's wise, Mary. It may be a very long walk, and you seemed so unwell only yesterday.
Why is everybody always supposing that I'm not a good walker? I very much want to join you. I do enjoy and very fond of a long walk.
Captain Wentworth, why don't you walk with us? You too, Charles. You can hunt any day.
Oh yes, we can show you the village, and there's a lovely path just outside of town. But I've arranged the guns in the...
I have no objection. It's late in the morning to be setting up for getting Charles.
Oh, I suppose you're right. But tomorrow morning, without fail, Wentworth, perhaps we can rise before the women.
Splendid. Oh, would you fetch my bonnet and shawl, Anne?
It is over. It is over. The worst is over.
Scene 5, a room at Uppercross set for a dinner party and dancing.
I hate to hear of women on board or see them, and No ship under my command shall ever convey a family of ladies anywhere if I can help it.
Oh, Frederick, women may be as comfortable on board as in the best house in England. I declare, I have not a comfort about me, even at Callan Hall, if I may say before my dear Miss Elliot, beyond what I've had on a frigate or a man-of-war.
Oh, nothing to the purpose, Sophie. You were living with your husband and were the only woman aboard.
My dear Frederick, pray what would become of us poor sailors' wives if everybody had your feelings? I hate to hear you talk as if all women were fine ladies instead of rational creatures. We none of us expect to be in smooth waters all our days.
Well said.
Sophie, my dear, when he has got a wife, he will sing a different tune. When he is married, if we have the good luck to live to another war, we shall see him very thankful to anybody that will bring him his wife.
I that we will.
Oh, now I'm done. When married people begin to attack me with, oh, you'll think very differently when you're married, I can only say, no, I shall not. And then they say again, yes, you will. And there is an end to it.
What a great traveler you must have been, Mrs. Croft.
I have crossed the Atlantic 4 times and have been once to the East Indies and back again. Bermuda, the Bahamas. I can safely say that the happiest part of my life has been on board a ship.
Were you never ill then?
Oh, thank God. I have always been blessed with excellent health. A little disorder in my first 24 hours at sea. The only time I ever fancied myself unwell was a winter I passed myself at Deal, when the Admiral, Captain Croft then, was in the North Seas. I had all kinds of imaginary complaints from not knowing when I should hear from him next. But as long as we could be together, nothing ever ailed me.
Well, shall we dance then? Oh, yes. Won't you play for us? And you play so beautifully.
Oh, yes, of course.
The next morning, the party set out for a walk along English Pass and some adventurous terrain.
Fences to be climbed over, locks to hop or climb. Thank you, Captain Wentworth.
And Henrietta, thank you, Captain.
Charles saw it to Mary.
Thank you, Charles. And Anne fended for herself.
As best as she could. Anne's was to not be in the way of anybody. Her pleasure in the walk must arise from the view of the last smiles of the year upon the tawny leaves and withered hedges. They brought to mind some tender sonnets fraught with the apt analogy of the declining year, this declining happiness, and the images of youth and hope and spring, all gone.
I mean, Charles, I'm quite ready to make a foolish match. A body between 13, 20, 15, and 30 may have me for the asking. A little beauty, a few smiles, and a few compliments to the navy, and I'm a lost man. That is the woman I want.
You shall want a great deal, Wentworth. Believe me. Oh, Captain Wentworth, catch me! Henrietta, we are quite near Winthrop. It's just over the next ridge. Shall we not pay a visit to Draw and Hayter while we are in the vicinity?
Oh, but ought we to call when we're unexpected?
Oh, nonsense. We are always welcome, and John is always glad to see you.
I am sure Henrietta is tired, and walking up that hill again is going to do her more harm than good. She will remain here with me while you make the call, Charles.
We have come this far, and it would be impolite not to pay our respects. Come, Henrietta.
It is so unpleasant having such connections, I assure you. I also assure you I have never been in that house more than about twice in my life.
We shall return in a few minutes, Captain Wentworth. Come, Mary.
No, I couldn't stir another step. Anne, let us find someplace comfortable to sit and rest.
Shall we see if we can find some hazelnuts, Captain
Oh,
Wentworth?
You like
Captain Wentworth was not very gallant by you, Anne, although he was charmingly attentive to me. Louisa asked him, Henrietta asked him what he thought of you, and he said you were so altered, he should have not have known you again. Oh, where has that Louisa gone? The seat is uncomfortable, and it's intolerably damp. Louisa probably has a better one. I'm gonna go find her.
The long meadow bordered a lane which their footpath was to cross, and when the party reached the gate, they saw
Admiral Croft the gig. Frederick, good morning. What a party. Have you had a pleasant walk?
Oh, very. And I hope your drive has been reasonably uneventful.
Oh, reasonably so. Have you really walked all the way from the house? You must be exhausted. Our gig is small, but one of the ladies may ride home with us if you'd like.
Oh, I'm quite content to continue on.
Miss Elliot, I am sure you are tired. Do let us have the pleasure of taking you home.
You must, indeed.
Here is excellent room for 3.
You must, indeed you must.
Miss Elliot.
We shall see you lot for supper then. Well, Sophie, Frederick certainly means to have one or the other of those 2 girls, but there's no saying which. This comes of the peace. If it were war now, he would have settled it long ago. How many days was it, my dear, between the time of our meeting each other and the time of us sitting down together in our lodgings?
We better not talk about that, dear. If Miss Elliot were to hear how soon we came to an understanding, she would never be persuaded that we could be happy together.
I wish Frederick would spread a little canvas and bring us home one of these young ladies to Kellynch. Very nice girls they both are. I really don't know one from the other. Which do you think it will be, Miss Elliot?
I would not presume to guess.
Very good-humored, unaffected girls indeed, and A very respectable family. One could not be connected with better people.
I expected warmer praise from you, Sophie, but for all his exceptions of bringing ladies aboard a ship, I'll lay money. He'll be married in no time, and then we shall see whether or not he brings them along.
Deny the road, dear.
What do you find Kellynch Hall at now?
It's a fine house, Miss Elliot. I do hope you'll come to visit us there soon. Only, I hope you don't mind my saying this. I removed a few of the great mirrors from your father's dressing chamber. One really could not get away from seeing oneself.
We shall certainly take that home. I overheard Frederick mention a trip to Lyme.
He's setting out tomorrow, determined to take the whole party of young Musgroves with him.
Fancy a trip, Miss Elliot?
I and Mrs. Mary Musgrove ought to go too. A good dose of sea air will make her feel much better. Do a world of good for Mrs. Musgrove's health, if you ask me. We can help Charles look after the boys.
Oh, do go, Anne. It will be a nice holiday.
Scene 7. Outside the door of the inn, the ladies are putting on bonnets and coats. Wentworth is with them.
The next morning, the party stood outside the inn door, conversing while they prepared for their walk. Oh, Anne, do you not think my own dear Mr. Hayter perfect for the position of curate? I wish Lady Russell lived it up across. I've always heard of her as a woman capable of persuading a person to anything.
The very man who passed on the cod yesterday.
He looked like a gentleman. I wonder who he was. Well,
Hey,
Anne, you see, is indeed struck by her.
Can you tell us the name of the gentleman who's just gone away?
Yes, sir. Mr. Elliot, a gentleman of large fortune, came in last night on our way to Bath. He's to be baronet someday.
Elliot, bless me. Anne, it must be our Mr. Elliot. It must be our cousin. It must be. Oh, and to think. And he's in mourning just as our Mr. Elliot would be. Oh, how extraordinary that he be in the same inn with us.
If he is to be a baronet someday, I suppose it must be he.
What a pity that he should not have been introduced to us. Do you think he has the Elliot countenance?
Dear Mary, please recall that Father and Mr. Elliot have not for many years been on such terms as to make the attempt of an introduction at all desirable.
Nonsense. He's our cousin and the heir to Kellynch Hall. Of course you will mention our seeing Mr. Elliot the next time you write to Bath.
Mary, think of Father's feelings and Elizabeth.
Putting all these extraordinary circumstances together, we must consider it to be the arrangement of Providence that you should not be introduced to your cousin. Shall we set forth, ladies?
Isn't it magnificent? What did you say? It's windy.
Isn't it magnificent?
Oh, yes, beautiful.
Oh, the wind, it's all I can do to keep my bonnet on my head. Oh, shall we walk on the lower cob?
No, Louisa, not here. The stones are too hard.
Catch me.
No, Louisa, that's enough. These stairs are just as hard as can be.
I'm determined. I am determined.
No!
I will go higher.
Oh, she's dead. She's dead. She's dead.
Oh my God, her father
cure must not be hoped for, but everything goes on as well as the nature of the case allows.
Act 2, Scene 1, Sir Walter's new lodgings, Camden Place in Bath. Anne enters, removes her hat and coat.
Anne remained at Uppercross for a few days, and she had the satisfaction of knowing that she was extremely useful there. She assisted in all arrangements for the future, which in Mrs. Musgrove's distressed state of spirits would have been far too difficult. At last, Anne resolved to join her father and sister in Bath.
Father, shall we?
Oh, Anne. Yeah, and I must say that lime and bath have done much to improve you. You're looking less thin in person. Your cheeks. Have you been using anything in particular?
No, nothing.
Oh, merely Gowling's lotion.
No, nothing at all.
Oh, certainly. You cannot do better than to continue as you are. Otherwise, I should recommend the constant use of Gowlings during the spring months.
Knock.
Oh, that's me.
Why, Mr. Elliot is at the door. Miss Anne, see how attentive he is.
Isn't it a bit late? It's already 10 o'clock.
Why should he not call at this hour? He is always welcome, and we have told him as much.
I do beg your pardon, Sir Walter. I apologize for calling at such an unusual hour. But I could be not so near without wishing to know if Miss Elliot had taken cold after yesterday's walk.
Oh, I am quite well, Mr. Elliot. Thank you for your kind concern.
I feel a perfect interloper, Sir Walter. I had no idea you were entertaining.
Nonsense, Mr. Elliot. You are always welcome. Oh, Mr. Elliot, you must give me leave to present to you another of my daughters, Anne.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Elliot.
Very pleased to meet you again, Miss Anne.
Scene 2, afternoon. Elizabeth and Anne enter Mullins, a candy shop in Bath.
I must insist that we remain here until the rain lets up considerably. I should never forgive myself if any of you were to catch cold.
You are quite the gentleman, Mr. Elliot. If only we had taken father's carriage.
Oh, are we not near the residence of your cousin, Lady Dalrymple? Perhaps I call upon her and ask to borrow her carriage.
Oh, what a wonderful idea, Mr. Elliot.
My only concern is that Lady Dalrymple's barouche can only hold one of you with any comfort. I shall have to rent another carriage for the remaining lady.
No, there is absolutely no need to hire a carriage. I assure you, the rain is a mere trifle, and I sincerely prefer to walk.
You do, Anne? You might get up. Where are you going, Anne?
I just wanted to check to see if it was still
Oh,
raining.
don't be ridiculous, Anne. You can see that it is.
Good afternoon, Captain Wentworth.
Oh, good afternoon, Miss Elliot.
I hope your journey was agreeable.
Tolerable. Dreadful weather here, though.
Yes, quite.
Anne, do hurry home. Father will worry if you are late, and there cannot be anything worthy of lingering in this part of town.
Are your sister?
The barouche can only accommodate one, and so many hat boxes.
Shall I hire you a carriage then?
Oh, I am much obliged to you, but I shall walk. I prefer walking.
When it's raining.
Very little. It's just a trifle to me. Nothing that I regard.
Well, if you must walk, will you at least allow me to accompany you too?
Anne, I'm so sorry to have kept you waiting. Excuse us, sir.
Captain Wentworth, my cousin, Mr. Elliot. Mr. Elliot, Captain Wentworth.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Anne, but we ought to set out before the rain increases.
Oh, yes, yes. Good afternoon, Captain Wentworth.
Good afternoon.
Scene 3, an elegant concert hall. Sir Walter and Elizabeth are waiting.
Sir Walter and Elizabeth were among the first to arrive at the Octagon Room for the evening's elegant entertainment. It afforded them ample opportunity to achieve the prime location for viewing the other guests as they arrived.
Where on earth is Anne, I wonder?
She was to ride with dear Mr. Elliot.
Elizabeth.
Good evening, Sir Walter, Miss Elliot. You are looking splendid this evening.
Good evening. I am glad you are here.
Shall we not choose our seats for the evening's entertainment?
Well, I shall fetch programs for you.
Thank you.
How are you this evening, Captain Wentworth?
Oh, I'm well, thank you. And you, Miss Elliot?
Oh, very well. I am so glad you could come to attend this evening's concert.
Well, I am very fond of music.
Yes, I remember.
I've hardly seen you since our day at Lyne. I was afraid you would have suffered much from the shock.
Oh, I am concerned for my friend, but I assure you I have suffered no great shock. You were a good while at Lyme, I think.
About a fortnight.
The party was divided. Mr. Elliot's presence distressed Anne. She had no inclination to talk to him. Wished him not so near, but he had maneuvered so well as to have a seat by her.
Suffice to say, the name of Aunt Elliot has very long possessed a charm over my fancy. And if I dared, I would breathe my wishes that the name might never change.
Mr. Elliot, I am very flattered, but please excuse me. Captain Wentworth, how do you find the concert?
I confess I shall not be at all disappointed when the evening is over.
The pieces are well selected. Wouldn't you agree? I would be grateful for your opinion.
Well, the last piece we heard, I actually thought was quite excellent, but...
And, I beg your pardon, I must beg your assistance. I'm afraid Lady Darwin was very anxious to have a general idea of what is next to be sung.
I will be there in a moment.
I'm terribly sorry,
Captain Wentworth?
oh yes, of course, my apologies, Captain. Wentworth. Come along, Anne.
Captain Wentworth,
I must wish you a good night, ma'am.
is not this song worth waiting for?
No, there is nothing worth my staying for.
Scene 4, the Musgrove's lodging at an inn in Bath, a drawing room. Enter Anne and Captain Wentworth separately.
Miss Anne Elliot, I can listen no longer in silence.
I must speak to you by such means as are within my reach. pierce my soul. I am in half agony.
Have hope.
Tell me not that I'm too late, that such precious feelings are gone forever. I offer myself to you again.
With a heart even your own then, when you almost broke it 8 years and a half ago.
Dare not say that a man forgets sooner than woman. I have loved none but you. You alone who brought me to that.
For you alone I think and plan.
Have you not seen this? Oh, I can hardly write. I am every instant hearing something which overpowers me. You sink your voice, but I can distinguish the tones of that voice when they would be lost to others. Too good, too excellent creature. You do us justice indeed. You do believe that there is true attachment and constancy among men.
Believe it to be most fervent, most undeviating, and
Frederick Wentworth. I must go, uncertain of my fate. A word, a look will be enough to decide whether I enter your father's house this evening or never.
Well, here's a bit of satin. Why, Anne, are you well?
oh, I'm quite well. Just a little tired, I think. I think I'd best return home. I shall, where's my bonnet? Oh, there, I shall see you this evening. If you should see them before me, would you be so kind as to remind Captain Harville and Captain Wentworth that they are also invited to Camden Place this evening?
Oh, it is quite understood. I give you my word.
No, it is not perfectly understood. I am afraid. I should be so very sorry. Will you promise to mention it when you see them again? Do promise me.
To be sure, if you wish it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Scene 5, Street of Bath. Anne is walking home looking for Wentworth. Charles enters.
Moments later, Charles Musgrove was walking down Union Street when he nearly collided with a great flustered Miss Anne. Is that you? You look quite flushed. Allow me to escort you home.
Oh, no, thank you, Charles. I can manage.
I insist. Oh, look. Is that Captain Wentworth ahead of us?
Oh, yes, it is.
What good luck finding you, Captain Wentworth. Captain Wentworth! Which way are you going?
I hardly know.
Are you going to Camden Place? Because if you are, I shall have no scruple in asking you to take my place and give Anne your arm to her father's door.
If Miss Anne has no objection.
None.
Oh, splendid. You're doing me a great favor, Wentworth. Don't think I'll forget it. I ought to be at the gunsmith in the marketplace. He promised me the sight of a capital gun. Well, feel better than Miss Anne? You cannot be in more capable hands.
Anne, Miss Elliot, I will not embarrass you with further declaration if it's unwelcome, but allow me to say this. Unjust I might have been, weak and resentful I have been, but never inconsistent.
Captain Wentworth. Frederick.
I meant to forget you. I thought I was indifferent, but I was only angry. Oh, Anne, I always knew you to be perfection itself, but it wasn't until I was away that my mind firmly fixed your superiority over any other woman. But to see you at that concert, in the midst of those who could not be my well-wishers, to see Mr. Elliot close by you, to know how Lady Russell and your father must be hoping that, was it not enough for me to be the fool I appeared?
You should have distinguished. The case so different. My age so different. I was wrong in yielding to persuasion. man to whom I am indifferent. All risk would have been incurred and all duty violated.
I ought to have reasoned thus, but I could only think of you as the one who had yielded, who had given me up. And we're near enough to your father's door. If it's your wish that I ask your father's permission, I will do so this evening, but know that the only opinion I value in this matter is yours. Anne, would you do me the honor of becoming, at long last, my wife?
I will. To insist that you ask my father's permission would be perverse torment under the circumstances. I am yours in any case. In any case. But I would like to get his blessing.
Then I shall see you this evening. Oh, Anne,
Yes?
do you think you could bear a seafaring life? The distances, the turbulent seas, stormy weathers and exotic lands?
Try to stop me.
Then I'll need you shipshape and Bristol fashion by the time I arrive.
Meaning?
Meaning that if I find another sailor eyeing my ship, I'm liable to treat him to some marine justice. So do clear the decks.
Aye, Captain. Would you concede to a parley with Mrs. Russell?
Not yet. But there are hopes of her being forgiven in time. I trust to be in charity with her soon.
Thank you, Frederick.
Scene 6. Elizabeth, Sir Walter, Lady Russell, Mary, Charles, and Anne enter.
At last Anne was home again, and happier than anyone in that house could have conceived. The evening came, the company assembled. It was but a card party. It was but a mixture of those who had never met before and those who meet too often. A commonplace business, too numerous for intimacy, too small for variety. But Anne had never found an evening shorter.
Lady Russell, let us sit at the table nearest the fire. It will show the room to the best advantage for Lady Dalrymple.
You're looking much better, Anne. Yes.
I am in excellent spirits, Charles.
Well, how do I look?
Beautiful, Mary, absolutely beautiful.
And isn't it exciting? Lady Dalrymple is coming here. I'm simply beside myself.
Anne, I could not help overhearing Mr. Elliot request a private audience with your father over supper. Do you think?
Lady Russell, there is something I particularly wish to discuss with you regarding Mr. Elliot.
Oh, dear Anne, you need not seek my approval. You haven't.
Thank you for your concern, Lady Russell, but your counsel is not required.
Good evening, my dear Captain Wentworth.
Sir Walter, I have a question to put to you. Your dear daughter has agreed to make me the happiest man on earth. Would you be so good as to give us your blessing?
Anne?
I hope you will all join us aboard the Laconia when I celebrate my marriage to Miss Anne Elliot.
For heaven's sakes! Why would you marry
Anne? Sly dog. Oh, yes, no idea. Oh, Charles, I'm so excited I introduced them.
Yes, of course. Congratulations. Naturally, I give my blessing, dear Captain. Welcome to the family.
Oh, thank you, Sir Walter.
May I propose a toast? To fair skies, to strong winds that bring you swiftly and safely home to port, to smooth seas and
I must inform my men that their captain will shortly be captained. I shall call on you in the morning, dearest Anne. Thank you for your toast, Lady Russell.
Captain Wentworth, I know there has been no great love between us for many years. Please know that I was doing my utmost to act as a mother would. My sole object was to see Anne happy.
An object that I now have the honor of pursuing. I hope we well know one another in the near future. Tell me, when I returned to you, if I had written to you, would you have answered my letter?
Would I?
Oh, good God, you would! Oh, how could I bear her ill will when my pride and doubts led to years of suffering and separation that might have been spared? I've been used to the gratification of believing myself to earn every blessing that I enjoy. I must learn to brook being happier than I deserve.
It is a lesson from which we both might benefit.
Who can doubt of what followed? Anne gloried in being a sailor's wife, was tenderness herself, and she had the full worth of it in Captain Wentworth's affection. When any two young people take it into their heads to marry, they are pretty sure by perseverance to carry the point, be they ever so poor, or ever so imprudent, or ever so little likely to be necessary to each other's ultimate comfort. This may be bad morality to conclude with, but I believe it to be the truth. And if such parties succeed, how should a Captain Wentworth and an Anne Elliot, with the advantage of maturity of mind, consciousness of right, and one independent fortune between them, fail of bearing down every opposition?
Hear, hear.
End of play.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, actors. We'd love to have a short, talk back, if you'd like, and invite the playwright Jennifer LeBlanc, who wrote those beautiful words. Jennifer, let me just arrange. Feel free to go to the restroom if you may. Let me just have some chairs up, and we can use the stairs. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Back chair. Actors, if you, are available. Excellent. Oh my God. If you'd like to sit on the outside. Yeah. Here's up. All right, here. sit on the chairs, Vivian, go ahead, Jane, Denise. Or right here is good too. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I think the audience we're so encouraged after 3 years of the pandemic to see audiences watching live theater. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. And again, I want to reintroduce Jennifer LeBlanc, who so ably adapted
A big book.
a big, beautiful book. Raise your hand if you've read Persuasion. Oh, yay! Okay, thank you so much. We're so curious to hear what you thought, any questions you might have for the cast of the playwright, but I'd love to open with actually, Jennifer, there's something you'd like to share about the origins of this play.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much to Stagebridge for doing this beautiful reading, and to the actors for your magnificent work. It was such a delight to hear it out loud, and to see character shifts and even the little subtle details sparkle and come to life. So congratulations to all of you. I created this for a fundraiser I had no idea it would ever be produced. It was a fundraiser for a charity organization up in Oregon, and it went well, and then to my great surprise and delight, it got produced and has been a few times since then, and now this beautiful company did it.
And it is very, very heavily edited. It's actually a very beautiful, longer play that we read on Zoom, but we didn't have the liberty to do because it would take a longer time. So it is a very heavily edited version of the play. But the play is just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. And there's silly things that y'all figured out, and I'm so excited about. Jane Austen stories have so many characters in them, and this full script has a lot of doubling, where the same actor plays two characters back and forth, and you got to see some of that in this beautiful telling of it. One of the fun little Easter eggs, if you will, of it is that people tend to play their opposite. So, Sir Walter Elliot is all interested in looking beautiful and class and all that stuff, and then Admiral Croft is like, oh God, I took down the mirrors. It doesn't care about the class distinctions. And you have one person playing a hypochondriac, and then she doubles with someone who's genuinely sick, but has a very positive outlook on life.
Which we didn't have that character in this play.
Right.
But that's true.
That would have been fun to do. That would have been fun.
Yes.
And she thought of all of that to be able to produce a play. So when she wrote her script, she had in mind these opposites and how one actor would have both. Because she had to figure out, they're going to still be on stage?
They can't talk to themselves.
And I just appreciate how gracious you are in allowing us to edit it as much as we did.
Oh, and it was beautifully done and beautifully directed, Radhika. Thank you for the cuts and for the direction.
Questions, comments, thoughts? Hi, so good to see you, Champagne.
Just the humor. There was so much more humor than I ever appreciated. You did beautifully with that.
Yes.
Every one of you. And the three men. Unbelievable. That you
Four, I thought there were 4 men.
There were the other one.
4?
Well, some of them were double.
3 actors in the beginning.
3 actors, yeah.
Well, anyway. I'm talking about the 3 in the front row. Were just magnificent. I mean, and you didn't have to. Anyway, it was convincing, and the fact that you could, play fathers and lovers, and it was just, it was convincing.
That's great.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I just think it's brilliant. Even the ages, across ages, you just saw the youth and you saw the matriarch, and it's pretty remarkable with this cast. Yes.
I just wanted to say, for me, it was an absolutely delightful way of spending
75 minutes.
On a sunny day.
Oh, yes.
I'm curious to know of the cast if there were people who especially liked Austen and wanted to do this, or never, I'm not gonna read this, I don't like this genre or whatever. And then if there were any sort of changes that how you felt this, like how did you feel bringing something like this to life? Yeah.
I think the thing that really struck us all the most, and Charmaine mentioned it, which I'm so glad, is the humor in it.
Yeah.
I don't think I had ever, I think I read this book in high school or something, or maybe college, but I don't remember it as being humorous. But that's what really struck us all, I think, and that's what we really wanted to bring out.
And the humor didn't even pop on Zoom as much.
That's right.
But then when we got together in person in January, that's when it started to come alive. We were all discovering how funny it was. Yeah. It's really meant to be staged. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Jennifer. It's like Shakespeare, meant to be.
Within that context, is there an intention about sort of Anne being the straight character, or sort of not humorous in a way? Is that intentional, or is that revealing the humor by having Anne kind of play it real straight? And I'm just curious.
That would be, I'm so curious to hear about Jennifer's interpretation. From my end, I don't think I was playing her as particularly non-humorous or humorous, but yes, in theater we call it the straight characters, or in improv where everybody's they're the persuaders, if you will. And Wentworth and Anne, at least in our production, seemed like they were the ones being swayed from end to end, and they were fairly straight in that sense. And so yes, sometimes they wouldn't be the exaggerated characters, whereas the other ones, were. But they did have their funny moments, at least I thought, but
But the characters themselves were restrained.
Yeah.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah, please,
I
Nancy.
think the other thing is that Anne knows that she's in this really crazy environment. She realizes people around her are all just nuts. So she's just sort of trying to maintain, I think, her sanity. Living with them, and she finally realizes Wentworth is also like she is, that he's okay.
I couldn't have said it better. I completely agree with the way that you interpreted that. Absolutely. And I would add there's also a kinship, as opposed to the other characters who are a little wackier. The wackier world in which you live. Anne and Wentworth have a sense of humor, but it's dry. It's a little more satirical, and they're situationally funny more than they are, they know what's really going on. And probably from across a room, they can look at each other like, did you hear that too? We'll talk about that on the carriage ride home. They sort of got that sense of humor.
I think also Anne and Captain Wentworth have arcs because they grow as characters. And the rest of them, Sir Walter is who he is at the beginning, and he ends up really in exactly the same at the end. And Admiral, they're kind of a stock character. They're a Jane Austen stock character, but they don't develop. They are what they are at the beginning and at the end too. So,
which is a really interesting way in which you cast, Jennifer, this play, because Anne and Wentworth, they don't get to play other characters, but they get an arc, and the other actors get to be different characters. So they don't get the arc, but they get to play different characters. So it's pleasurable either way.
And also toward the end, some of the characters that are, when you see the full version or read the full book, there are a bunch of characters who, while they don't necessarily have an arc, they certainly have a comeuppance. They get told off on no uncertain terms.
I do think that Lady Russell, though, she has a turnaround right at the end, and she then sort of celebrates the marriage between one person who she has been mothering all her life, and then the Captain Wentworth who really she had a lot of disdain for, but then seeing that Anne is in love with him and that it is real, she comes around and celebrates that. I like that little twist in her character.
His stature has gone up though from what he was
Right.
before. He's now
Yeah, it's not
captain.
money, but.
It'd be nice if you could do it at other places. I would think the public libraries, when they have events, would love
such a
to
good
do
idea.
something like that.
Such a good idea, yeah. Yeah, this was under the purview of a class, so we had, the restrictions of that, but where's Stagebridge? Is he here?
That's a good idea, I like it.
Yes, please.
I just want to compliment you all on the way you handled the reading part of it. It can be very distracting to have script, but you have all obviously perfected the way of being able to refer to the script but not having it obvious. You forgot in no time that you were reading.
Well, that's very reassuring to hear, thank you. Yeah, that was the hardest part. Thank you so much.
Especially as you were dealing with other props as well, and I realized I would pay attention to the teacups and not involved with the script, or I would pay attention to the fan and not involved with the script, so that's very well.
And obviously, as a director, I was like, we don't have to have any props. This cast insisted, and then they rehearsed, and then so this was the cast insisting on props and having a script there, and it paid off, folks. I also want to give a shout out to Suzanne for choreographing that country dance, for making these nifty little handbook scripts so that we could hold it and hold props in it. So thank you.
And she helped edit it.
And she, yes.
Oh, you
I
did?
she just gave me, I just Xed out everything she said.
And she didn't help edit.
It's a good thing. She knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
It was not
she
meant
did.
to be a collaboration, those take forever.
Oh gosh, it was so wonderful watching you watch the play, because you just seemed to enjoy it so much. It was really, I was just thrilled to
Well,
see.
that's a testament to you. Y'all are delightful.
Well, it was great hearing you laugh.
Yeah,
It's recognizable.
Yeah, thank you. And you.
Also, Anna Marie McClure, if you want to stand up and because
No,
you're in costume, she's a.
It was kind of a dare.
Oh, you were good dancing.
I feel like you're, yeah.
Oh, yeah, during the pandemic, I got very into this.
Did you make that yourself? Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
It's a fan club.
Well, pandemic, y'all. I mean, what else was I gonna do?
Jennifer, what is the name of the club, the society, the Jane Austen,
There are a few. There's the Jane Austen Society of North America, which is often called JASNA for short, and there are chapters all over the place. There are also Regency societies. So different areas will have Regency societies, and sometimes it's for studying and enjoying the books, or sometimes it's for holding balls and dancing, or creating bonnets.
Thank you for being here. Anything else, young folks?
Do you have something to say? Aw.
Thank you. We're fishing for content.
If you were to be a character in this play, who would you like to be?
Not fair to put people on the spot like that.
Do you all have favorites or favorite moments from
Oh,
the story?
I just love Sir Walter. He's so outrageous and fun to do. So.
His product placement moment with
Which is from the book.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't add that. There's just a product placement moment. Gallon's lotion takes away your freckles.
And Mary was so whiny, it was just.
Absolutely. Mary was fun to do.
I actually fell in love with her.
Yeah, well, if there aren't any more questions or thoughts, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much.